Good morning, everyone. Today is the 18th of March in the year 2008. I'm Vance Lossman, a volunteer at the Palm Springs Air Museum here in California, and part of our mission is to record and preserve the history of our country's military conflicts, and especially World War II. As a part of the Veterans History Project of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., we conduct interviews of veterans and civilians who participated in those conflicts. Today I'm here at the museum with special guest Arlene Husband, and we have the honor and privilege of interviewing Major Don Husband. So we're going to talk to him about his time in World War II and a lot of other things, and it's great to have you here.
Good morning.
And now, please pronounce and spell your full name for us.
Edward Donald Husband. Husband.
And when and where were you born?
Seattle, Washington, in December of 1918.
Did you spend most of your childhood there in Seattle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What kind of things did you do when you were in school?
I was manager of the, as to extracurricular activities, manager of the baseball team and the football teams, that sort of thing. I wasn't big enough to play, but I did participate from that standpoint.
Okay. What were your favorite subjects when you were in school?
Oh, I imagine math, and I had a good civics teacher. I remember her. That's about it. I wasn't the greatest student.
When you graduated from high school then
Yeah.
in Seattle?
Yeah.
And where'd you go from there?
Went to University of Washington for about 3 years,
Okay.
and then got drafted, sort of. Or the draft was closing in on me.
So you decided to make a choice.
Yeah, I went downtown to the federal office building and tried to get into the Navy flight school, and I was turned down because of my eyesight. And I tried to get in the Army Air Force at that time. It was Army Air Force, and I was turned down. And so I went down the hall another door or two and went into the Marine Corps.
Really?
That's exactly what happened.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
And that was when that you did that?
That was probably in the spring, January or February of 1942.
One of the classic questions we ask is where were you on the morning of December 7th?
We were skiing at Mount Baker,
Okay.
up north of Seattle, and we had been up on the hill and came down for lunch. We had four guys, four of us, and came down to the car to have sandwiches and heard it on the radio. And,
Wow. There when you were getting lunch.
yeah.
What?
So we packed up and came home.
Yeah, okay. I was going to ask what
Yeah.
went through your mind and what was your reaction at that. I mean, that just kind of changed everything from there.
Yeah.
So the Marine Corps took you into flight school.
No. It's a longer story than that.
Okay.
I went into the Marine Corps, went through boot camp in San Diego
At Pendleton?
at
Yeah.
Pendleton and down in the Marine Corps station there, and was assigned to a aviation unit, what do they call them? A squadron.
Okay.
And it was a squadron of DC-3s, and I was just nothing, and they needed navigators. The Marine Corps never had planes big enough for navigators up until then, and they were flying this squadron from San Diego out to the Pacific. Guadalcanal was taking place soon, and so they had half a dozen just new graduate pilots and another half a dozen enlisted men. They picked them out and sent me to a local navigation school on North Island in San Diego. And I did pretty good there and enjoyed it. And after about 6 weeks of instructions, they had to fly, they had to go. So we flew from San Diego to Hawaii.
So that was your first trip
That
after instruction?
Yes.
Was
Well, we took a couple of little
Yeah.
trips around
Local.
Southern California. And it was 18 hours. We put we put 8 100-gallon plastic tanks in the cabin, all strapped down and with hoses hooking them all up to feed the gas to the engine to get us that far for 18 hours flight. And we made it. I was the lead navigator of this group of, it split it up into 3 planes apiece. And we made it right on the button after a hell of a long flight. And,
okay, that was an 18-hour flight.
Yes.
And clearly there were not the electronic navigational aids out there in the Pacific at that time. Was there Loran at that time?
No,
Or?
no, that came later.
Okay.
No, we had nothing but a octave.
The sextant for...
Yeah, sextant octant they call
Okay.
it. Because it was 8 sides.
Ah.
And we had a dome in the top of this DC-3, R4D.
Right.
And we could take shots of the stars through this dome and try to figure out where you were and where you're supposed to go, that sort of thing. So, no, that was, and then we rested for a day or two in Hawaii and flew island hopping all the way down to New Caledonia. It took us maybe a week, and our station was down at New Caledonia, and we flew from there up to the what were the island chain, New Hebrides islands, and then filled up with gas and whatever else, and flew from there another 5-hour hop to Guadalcanal, and we would take supplies with us and pick up wounded and bring them out, and we do that every 3 or 4 days, and so it was fly from New Caledonia to New Hebrides, Fadi Island, I think, and one other. And then we would take whatever supplies we needed. The first time we flew in, just after Henderson Field was secured, we had a load of candy, of ice cream, or not ice cream, but candy bars.
Okay.
And it was very well received.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
it must have been mobbed when you landed with those.
And we would pick up the wounded, and we'd have a corpsman on board, and fly them back down to New Hebrides or New Caledonia, and put them in the hospital.
Now, was this to backtrack just a little bit, but was this the first time the Marine Corps was flying cargo, their own cargo?
Yes, they never had anything like that before that was big enough for navigators.
Yeah.
And the pilot in naval training at Naval Air School was given a rudimentary navigation skills, but
Yeah.
not enough to do all this.
Not to cross an ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyhow, they survived, and we had pretty good. We lost a few planes, but generally pretty good.
So your runs, your typical run to Guadalcanal and out, about how long duration was that?
Oh, we'd fly one afternoon, 5 hours to New Hebrides,
Okay.
and then maybe take a nap in the evening, and we'd take off maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, so that we would land just at dawn, just as soon as it got light, it seemed to be safer. We were safer then.
Okay.
And but we had zero shooting at us once in a while, and
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah.
If you were getting pretty close to the front there in these.
half a dozen times we got shot at, I guess, something like that. And the rest of the time it was fairly routine. I got shot when we landed once, and I climbed out of the plane and at Henderson Field, and the Zeros were strafing the field, and I saw the bullets kicking up, and and I was running, and I decided, remembered or realized that I hadn't taken my helmet. We were issued helmets and were required to take them, but very seldom would we wear them. And so I said, I better go back and get my, that's kind of a dumb thing.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, but you do things.
Did you guys have any air cover when you were on your missions?
No. Mm-mm. We didn't have any. There were probably some planes in the air when we got near Guadalcanal.
Okay.
But nothing specifically for covering and helping us.
And you flew specifically, flew at night in order to fly under the cover of night then?
Yeah, it's a little safer, and we would need daylight to land because they didn't have any runway lights. So.
Were the Ogunni birds pretty reliable for you?
Oh yes, they're a good old airplane. Oh yeah, it was real, very dependable. And so after there doing that for, I guess, almost a year, I got transferred back to the States and taught navigation for a while, and then I applied and was accepted to flight school at Pensacola, Dallas, and then Pensacola.
Yeah.
I went through flight school and graduated and was ordered to go out to Hawaii as my home base, which was tough duty. And so the rest of the war was there flying out of Hawaii to all the islands in the Pacific.
And still with the R4s?
Yeah,
Okay.
with the Marine Corps Air Force,
Yeah.
and in R4Ds, I guess they were. They were not DC-3s anymore. It was a bigger airplane. It was made by Lockheed, I think.
Okay.
And that was R4D or C-46 maybe.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But did that. And
Twin engine?
Yeah. Both were twin engine.
Yeah.
And that's it. And the war ended, and I was stationed there, and we had enough points to get home, and scrambled around and went down to Pearl Harbor and found a boat that was
Heading east.
heading east.
Now, let me ask you. You said that previously the Navy and the Army Air Corps had turned you down because of your vision.
Yes.
What happened?
I don't know. Well, I got through somehow. I had a pretty good record as a navigator.
Okay.
And I applied for flight school, and maybe they were hard up or something.
Yeah.
It did go in cycles. I know the graduating classes at Pensacola where sometimes a third of the class graduated, the rest washed out. And maybe 6 months later they needed more pilots, and so maybe the whole class, my class, I think 2/3 of them washed out before they graduated. And but it was in a cycle where they were a little bit tougher in their exams. And it happened.
Now, probably your primary trainer was the steerman, right?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
oh yes.
Yeah.
At Dallas, yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
And then what did they take you to?
Then that was from Dallas, and the primary trainer. We went down to Pensacola,
Mm-hmm.
and that was still steerman, I guess, for a while, and then we got into SNJ,
Okay.
I think, and which was a more powerful plane and
Retractable gear and
yeah,
all.
yeah, I think so. And then after I got out of Pensacola, graduated there, I was spent a month or maybe 2 months at Corpus Christi in DC-3s and C-46s.
So you went straight from single engine. So your first multi-engine airplane then
Yeah.
was a C-40 or R4s.
Yeah, and I spent a couple of months there, and then was transferred to Hawaii to fly out of Hawaii, out of Eva.
That seems like a heck of a transition, going from an SNJ up to something the size and the weight.
Well, we did go. I think we went. Yeah, we flew a Beechcraft, a small Beechcraft
Okay.
twin engine.
Yeah.
In training, and it was kind of a step.
Yeah. Okay.
So I forgot about that.
Little sort of transition
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the
a
multi-engine stuff then.
Step up.
Okay. All right. Now, in your time as a navigator, you were pretty much riding sideways,
Yeah.
right behind the
Right behind
pilot
the
and
pilot.
co-pilot. Okay.
Had a table and a stool, I guess, and a table to put charts on.
Yeah.
And a dome right above you. I could stand there and shoot the stars and decide where we were.
And the dome was your primary view out, wasn't it?
Yes, that was about the only. Well, there were windows, but you couldn't get to them hardly.
Yeah.
But we shoot the stars and get the angle, whatever they called it, and had to calculate this by hand with a pencil and paper. There are no computers like they have now.
So
And
that's where
it
your
took
math
15
skills in high school paid off.
It took 15 minutes to after you'd shot 2 stars or maybe 3. You'd have to bring those figures down and calculate something. It seemed to be a foot long.
But like figuring your income tax by hand.
Yeah, that's about right.
So basically, you found out where you were 15 minutes ago,
Yeah, that's right.
and depended upon the accuracy of your pilot the whole heading to come up with
yes.
where you were right then.
Yeah. And we managed to get there every time. We almost didn't make it one time. We were flying out of Fiji southward to Tonga Taboo is the name of the island in the Tonga group. We left at midnight or something like that, again to land at dawn. And we were over clouds all the time, and it was our estimated time of arrival. I told the pilot to let down, and we went down through the clouds and nothing but ocean. And I don't know what happened, but we didn't see a damn thing. And finally we flew another 5 or 10 minutes, and I said, I don't know where we are. Turn around, we heading back, but we didn't have enough gas to get back. So we were going to close maybe, and as in maybe 5 minutes or less, there was the island that we had, and we landed, and the guys on the ground told us that we just went over the island, right over the island, but we hadn't looked back. We should have.
Okay.
We should have
Yeah.
circled when we thought we were there, and but none of us thought about it. But
Yeah. So you had it nailed, but just
missed
got
by
to
a
the
couple
island a
of
little
miles.
early, or
Yeah.
out of the clouds
Yeah.
a little
So
late.
it happens. But anyhow.
What the heck goes through your mind when you're under an overcast and you're between cloud and water?
Well, you have
Yeah.
trouble. Not easy. See, we were not there were no clouds above us because I could take shots there.
Oh, when you were above the...
Yeah, we were above a layer of
Yeah.
clouds, and so I could take shots there and doing pretty good there.
But as soon as you let down below the clouds to
Yeah.
look for the island, then you were pretty much all dead reckoning. from
Yeah,
there.
that's right. But that was only a matter of
Yeah.
a few minutes. So.
It was a very long 2 minutes, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
in flights like that, you mentioned you were when you first left San Diego for Hawaii, you were the lead navigator in a
Yeah.
flight. Most of your missions, were you a single airplane out there?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, by yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. They, no, after we got out to New Caledonia, it was single plane each plane at a time, no groups.
And was there radio communication or
Yeah.
not?
Well, there was, but there's some radio blackout, a lot of blackouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because they could home in on you with the radio going.
So it's the type of thing, for instance, when you let down and didn't see an island, you were not supposed to make radio calls and say, hey, where are you?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So,
You mentioned earlier that you did lose a few airplanes in your group.
yeah.
Were they mechanical or
We
an
don't
enemy
know.
contact?
They don't come back, and you don't know what happened. One night we were flying, heading from New Hebrides up to Guadalcanal, and I swear we missed a B-17, was going this way, and missed just above us by a couple of feet, it seemed, because it happened just like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's fast, and he's supposed to. Oh boy, how is it? You are supposed to overall rule is when you were flying in any heading from 0 to 180, which heading east generally, you were supposed to be at even altitudes. I believe that's the way it was. And if you're flying from 180 to 0 to 360, you were flying at odd altitudes, so that you would be either 3,000 or 5,000 feet, or
So keep
50.
1,000 feet
Yeah.
between you. Yeah.
yeah. But this guy was at the wrong altitude, and we just about hit him, but we didn't.
And of course, have no idea who it was.
No, have no idea. It happened too quick. You don't see it.
And this was at night.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
middle of the night. So
Now, you would go out. You'd go out on a mission, and return. And then, what was your cycle? Were you off for a day,
off for
or
about 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of days, and it depends. Sometimes we'd fly for 5 days straight, and up and back, and because there was emergency.
Gotcha.
And sometimes that would happen last for 5 or 6 days, or maybe more. And other times it would just be routine after things got settled down a little bit. And then once in a while we'd have to, this is orders, have to fly to Sydney and spend some time there taking supplies or taking wounded or something like that. And it seemed that every time something would be wrong with the plane when we were to return to New Caledonia. And
oh, those mechanical
yes,
problems? Yes.
And you don't want to take a chance, so you had to go back into Sydney for another day or two.
That must have been tough for you guys.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How? Pardon me. How long a flight was that to Sydney?
From New Caledonia, about 3.5, 4 hours, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, not bad.
Um,
We went back and visited. We were there a couple of years ago and went back and tried to find we landed at the same airport.
in Sydney.
In New Caledonia.
Oh, New Caledonia.
Yeah, we were in Sydney, or we were in Melbourne, and we flew up to New Caledonia, and this was 6-7 years ago, and the airport was still there. It was all paved and everything.
Yeah.
We didn't. It wasn't paved when we were there, but we rented a car and tried to find our base, our camp, which was a mile or so away from the airport, and couldn't find it. It was destroyed, gone.
It's somewhere under.
Yeah, yeah.
Was it developed or was it?
It was a nice
just,
camp. Yeah, it was a. We were in tents.
Yeah.
But
Nice tents.
The officers' club was they were decent, and the officers' club was well built, and it was very good. We had drinks were 15 cents, generous drinks, and no, that was decent.
That pretty much an equatorial tropical area there.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
so,
pretty warm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of? You said that the runway was paved when you went back to visit. What did you have before? Did you have the steel mats?
Yeah,
or did
the
you
steel
have
mats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And about how many feet of runway did you have to take off on?
Oh golly, I don't know. I don't remember, to tell you the truth. I imagine 400 or 500 feet at least, but maybe that's
Whatever,
more than
more than enough to get you off fully loaded. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it went a little bit like this, but it worked all right.
Yeah, it's a little skip to
Yeah.
coax it. Yeah. What? I got to assume that the cargo you were carrying typically was like perishables or emergency, right?
We'd carry lots of things. We'd carry gasoline sometimes.
Really?
Oh yeah, they needed gas desperately, and we'd have to carry some 100-gallon drums of gas, or bombs, or ammunition, or food.
It was whatever.
Oh yeah, whatever they needed.
I'll be darned.
Yeah. It was whatever.
So basically, you were the Marine Corps' FedEx overnight.
Well, FedEx, yeah.
I mean, if they were short of something, you were the guys that.
What they needed, we carried.
Wow.
If we get it in the plane.
Yeah. Good heavens!
So
I wouldn't have thought that.
It has to be done.
Yeah. Now, when you carried wounded out,
Mm-hmm.
do they have corpsmen
we'd
coming with
have
them?
a corpsman go with us
Okay.
whenever we were to pick up wounded, and we would know pretty much what we were going to get, but maybe we had a corpsman with us most all the time. I don't remember.
Okay. So, but it wasn't. Fortunately, it wasn't typical that every return flight was carrying wounded then.
Oh, pretty much.
Pretty much?
Yeah, at first.
Yeah.
And after a while, there weren't so many wounded, of course, after the fighting was settled down.
Yeah.
And but almost every flight we take wounded.
But strictly cargo going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We one time we flew the commandant, Marine Corps commandant, top man, up, and we landed at New Hebrides, and he and I were standing there. I was at that time a corporal maybe, and this is the top general, and he said, look, we're going to have a tailwind. And I said, yes, sir. If you say so, we will have a tailwind.
That's a good way to play it.
Yeah. It was fun.
Gosh.
Lots of good times.
So. You must have liked flying more than navigating, huh?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot better. A lot more fun.
Yeah.
You were, and it was peaceful then. We were just flying. We'd take supplies and everything, but there was no fighting. We'd go into islands like Tarawa and that after the fighting was all over.
Gotcha.
At that time.
Yeah.
So it was a piece of cake.
Yeah. Was it easy for you to trust your navigator?
Oh yeah. And we had a lot of radio communication by that time,
Okay.
So which we couldn't have before.
You didn't have the need for radio blackout.
Well,
yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it made it a lot easier. So a piece of cake.
Now, when you hopped your ship back from Hawaii,
Very interesting. Yeah, we the war was over. Everybody was happy, and I had enough points, and a lot of us had enough points to get home, and but no transportation. Everybody wanted to go home and back to the States. So another guy and I went down to Pearl Harbor and bummed a ride on a little motorboat that was running around there, and went out to a nest of destroyers, of destroyer escorts. And we went on board one of them and asked the skipper if he was going back to the States and if he had room. And I think 2 or 3 of them said no, they didn't have room or they weren't going or something. And finally found one who said he was leaving the next morning for the States. And this was going to be a 5-day trip. And he said, you come aboard if you want, but you'll have to sleep on the deck, I guess, or in the what they called a transom. I guess it was a bench in the officers' quarters. And we said, okay, we'll do it. And
so you hitchhiked, basically.
Yeah. We took the boat back to our base and signed out, had everybody sign us out as they do. And then we got another ride out to Pearl Harbor and went out, and the skipper took off, and after we were aboard for an hour or so, and it was a messy ride and kind of rough. And he was a nice guy. He showed us the supplies, well, in fact, to get back to, he showed us the supplies of brandy, medicinal brandy.
Medicinal.
And that he said we'll have that the night before we land at San Diego. And I guess it was San Diego or LA. I don't know. And it turned out that most of the guys were sick. The skipper and myself were the only guys who felt good, decent.
Because of the ride, right?
Yeah. We had to take this medicinal brandy. Yeah. I think we had a doctor aboard, and he prescribed it.
No doubt he did. Yeah.
So it was fun.
Well, yeah, a destroyer escort, I don't imagine, could have been the most comfortable ship to be.
Sleeping on the deck.
Yeah.
It was hard and miserable and bouncy.
And pitching and rolling.
Yeah. But we managed to survive. So.
It got you back to the States.
Yeah.
So you mustered out at San Diego then, or?
I think we landed at San Diego. I don't remember. And then everybody dispersed, went their ways, checked out, went home, and stood by to get discharged. That took a couple of weeks, and we didn't do much of anything.
So you headed back to Seattle then, huh?
Yeah, went back to Seattle, and took a couple of weeks checking out at Bremerton, which is the Navy station there near Seattle. And I ran into a guy who was my drill instructor in San Diego, 2 years earlier, or 3 years earlier, or whatever it was. And he was still a corporal or whatever, but a mean, dirty guy. And I kind of enjoyed that. But and I saw a friend of mine. I guess we worked together before the war, and I went up to him and started to shake his hand, and he was sitting there with handcuffs on and had 2 guards, 2 marshal, what do they call them?
Shore patrol?
Yeah, shore patrol.
Yeah.
On one on each side, and I didn't know what to do. But anyhow, we said hello, and it's kind of a surprise.
Did you find out what it
No, I
happened to him, or
never.
just
No,
yeah.
I have no idea what it was. Could have been very bad.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I hope.
Hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow,
Now, what'd you do when you got back to Seattle?
I hung around for a couple of weeks until all the papers were in order and everything, and got discharged or relieved from active duty. And I flew back to Dover, Delaware, and got married.
Ah,
And in a DC-3. I flew back in
Yeah.
a DC-3.
in the back of the plane.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
To Dover, Delaware.
Dover, Delaware.
Now, how did that happen?
Well, my wife-to-be, her parents moved from Seattle to Dover
okay.
sometime in the meantime, and that's the reason. And we bought a used car and drove across the country to California.
Wow.
To Burlingame, California, by the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And settled there and went to work. And lived there for a long time and then moved to Fresno.
So the honeymoon was the trip from
Yeah,
Dover back.
yeah, yeah.
So that was what, about 48 or
46, I think.
46?
Yeah. I
Okay.
believe. Yeah, because the war, yeah, it would have been the end of 46.
Yeah. Well, there just weren't that many cars then, and I imagine
Oh.
that the tires were just getting back into production
That's right,
too for
very,
cars.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty hazardous, but we made it all
Yeah,
the
that
way.
was an adventure then.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were taking a chance.
Yeah.
But you're young and foolish.
And you just got out of flying over the Pacific. I suppose
No
Route
difference.
66 looked pretty good.
Yeah,
after
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Ah. How was it to drive cross country then? I mean,
Well,
we've pretty
it
much
just
gotten
took a
spoiled by
long-
interstates,
A
but
long time. Yeah, it was 2 lanes, a lot of 2 lanes.
Yeah.
It was, I guess, took 2 weeks or so to drive. We weren't in any hurry, and so, but anyhow.
now there were accommodations. There were roadside motels
Oh,
and
yeah.
that type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
pretty prevalent by that
Yeah,
time.
there were lots of no problem, and not as many as now, but
Yeah.
enough. So
Now you went back to Burlingame. What'd you do there?
I went to work with a company who was a wholesale distributor of appliances and furnaces and air conditioning, and didn't have any air conditioning at first, but they got a line of air conditioning, and I did that, and then I transferred to Fresno, California, which was better air conditioning territory,
Yeah.
and spent the rest of my life selling air conditioning.
Any itch to get into a cockpit again?
No, I have, but no great desire. No, I've flown planes since then, just with friends.
Yeah.
that sort of thing,
Yeah.
but not any great itch to fly.
It
You were in
was,
reserve.
Hmm?
You were in the reserve.
Yes, I was in reserves for a couple of years. I wasn't really. I didn't want anything to do with it, and so I ignored. I was still attached. I couldn't get detached, but I wasn't active in the reserve until maybe 1947 or something like that. I got a letter from Marine Corps saying I was promoted to major. And I said, hey, wait a minute now. Maybe something's cooking here. I'll check into it. And realized there was a good retirement program in the reserve, and so I declared myself available for active duty, not active duty, but
Yeah.
reserve duty, and I'd go down to San Diego or somewhere for 2 weeks active duty in the summertime every second year or so, and then I got kicked out for diabetes.
Ah,
And I was really kicked out then. So I have not developed any bad diabetes or anything like that. But it was at a time when they were
and any sign
Yeah.
was enough
Yeah,
for
and
disqualification.
looking for people to get kicked out.
At that point, there were too many people.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So anyhow,
Has it flared up for you ever since then, or is it
No.
the diabetes? It's just
no,
it's just a little.
I'm a little careful, but you know, at my age, you don't worry about it too much.
There's other things to worry about.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh,
No.
they on in the little paper that you filled out. We talked to you mentioned various under describe other significant combat experiences.
Oh,
I found significant the the hunting for your island.
Well, that was fun. Yeah, that was looking back on it, that was kind of fun. No, we would. Gee, I don't know. That's about it. Land and run. And
Yeah.
we did that a few times. And
So you didn't. I would guess that you didn't have any air encounters with the aircraft. That it was
No.
primarily
No.
attacked while you were landing or
Well,
on the ground. Am I right? Or
I didn't. No. No, these planes that didn't come back.
maybe.
We
Yeah.
don't know what happened to them.
Yeah.
And they could have been shot down or who knows what, because it was radio silence,
Yeah.
and you weren't about to get on the radio and tell people you're getting shot at. You were busy doing something else.
And there was certainly nothing on your aircraft that you could use to defend yourself,
No,
was there? Other
no.
than a sidearm in
No,
your.
no. They carried sidearms, I guess,
Yeah.
and there may have been a rifle around somewhere, but not much else.
Hardly defensive armament.
No, no.
Oh. Go ahead.
No,
Did you have kids?
yeah, I have 2 boys, and a granddaughter and a great grandson on the way.
Oh, outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Are they up in Northern California? Or?
Yes, they're in the Bay Area.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
And my granddaughter is in Eugene, Oregon, and she is going to have a baby boy May the 19th or something like that.
Very good.
They can predict this nowadays.
Yeah. It's a little
Amazing.
scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what day you're going to have and what sex it's going to be.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah, yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I think we had to still wonder about names until the
No,
child was born.
They haven't
Is that-
told us. Yeah, they haven't told us what the name is going to be.
Now, what have you been doing since you retired in Fresno?
Oh, I play tennis 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah, I used to play a lot of golf, but I don't very much anymore. And we bought an old house that needed a lot of repair and
Okay.
updating, and we've been busy with that for 10 years.
Kind of a hobby house.
Well, yeah, it's a bear sometimes. So, but it's a beautiful old house, and we enjoy it very much.
How old the place?
Oh, it's 50 years old.
Oh, neat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or more. It was designed by an architect out of Los Angeles who did houses. We looked in the UC Santa Barbara library, architectural library, and our plans, our original plans are in the library, and they are keeping them there. And he did houses for people like Greta Garbo and Charlie Chaplin and that sort of thing. So it's very interesting. So anyhow.
Are you working to get it back to its original state, or just working to get it to where you want it to be?
Oh, pretty much where we want it to be, yeah, but retaining all the original
The
historical
flavor.
type
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
it's fun. Yeah, there are a lot of drawbacks to having an old house.
Oh yeah.
A lot of, but it's kept us busy.
Now, do you have it, out of curiosity, furnished, period furnishing too, or?
What? No, I don't think so. No, just sort of nice.
Whatever
Yeah.
is comfortable, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's tough to get into the 50-year-old furnishings that kind of look like
I think you're
George
right.
Jetson lived there, you know.
That's
with
true. That is true. Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, is there anything you wanted to relate
Nothing I can
further
think
about
of.
your experience?
I'm about run out.
Well, you know, this is it is significant because I think although we've had people from the VMF units that we've interviewed before, you are our first VMJ interviewee. So I just I really like to thank you for coming in
Thank you.
and giving us this opportunity.
We have been here before, and we appreciate what you guys have done with this exhibit here. It's marvelous. You've done a good job.
Have you taken the time to see our C-47 out there?
Yes,
or-
we were out there yesterday, walking around it.
Did you get up in it?
No.
Is that
But-
something you'd want to do, or?
Oh, I don't. Sure, I guess so.
I bet you we can make that
Let's
happen.
do that.
Let me shut this down.
All right.
and we'll
Give us some problems.
So you had taken serious flak damage at this point,
Well,
or was it from
my own
enemy
damage,
aircraft?
I think there was some flak, but that was the engine that had only been on a block in slow time. And you can't put an engine in